Alright, I know what y'all thinking. Didn't I erase C197 from existence? And didn't everyone's day improve from that knowledge? And isn't Blue Blasterbot the coolest channel that you should totally subscribe to if you haven't already? Yes, yes, and yes. But I want to talk about this comic since I too am a Sonic fan, a Pokemon fan, and admittedly someone on the spectrum. That and this idea for this review series has been itching at the back of my neck since 2023, and I want to get this out there so this idea will quit bothering me. Alright, so, who is Sonichu? Long story short, he's the magnum opus of Chris Chan. Chris Chan couldn't use Sonic and Pikachu for an album cover for his graphic design course in high school, so he combined his two hyperfixations and somehow that was accepted. Chris then decided to try to make it a franchise, starting from the bottom with this comic book series. There are upwards of 15 issues, not including the ones that were never completed. And since I'm not going to give Chris any money, because I would rather throw my money off a bridge and then give it to a literal motherfucking rapist, we're going to be using the Wikipedia, an entire website dedicated to Chris Chan's fails, for these summaries. Before we get into that, let's set the mood. It's about 2004, 2005-ish. The PS2 is riding high like a big sexy jockey. Nu metal is killing it with albums like Evanescence's Fallen and Breaking Benjamin's We Are Not Alone. Kingdom Hearts 2 is well on its way, and the Sonic the Hedgehog series has yet to be tainted with Sonic 06. You're up alone in your room looking like Tomoko Kuroki after getting done watching some Mario Bros. Z and Naruto AMVs to Skillet songs at 3 in the morning. And now you're hungry for more well-made fan content featuring Sonic the Hedgehog in particular. Desperate, you look for more webcomics because, again, it's like 2004, 2005-ish. The internet ain't exactly equipped to handle videos just yet. And there it is. You see it, with its garish color palette and childish art style. Sonichu, number 0. Curious, you click on it, and this is what you see. The comic starts with a Pikachu Chris has to specify as male for some arbitrary reason, just existing in the fields when he notices something happening 5 miles away from Station Square. The Pikachu, apparently having traded his brain for baseball cards and shiny objects, decides to investigate the flooded and damaged city with ruined infrastructure. It is there he finds Super Sonic and Perfect Chaos going at it like in the end of Sonic Adventure 1. Super Sonic somehow flies into the Pikachu, and a rainbow somehow strikes Pikachu and mutates him into the abomination we know him as now. It then abruptly cuts away to a Raichu who gets hit with the other end of the rainbow and turns into a Rosechu. Let's just ignore the fact that's not how rainbows work, so we can cut back to Sonichu helping whoop Perfect Chaos's ass, while the dumbasses who didn't evacuate Station Square and are likely going to die cheer on Sonic. Sonichu then decides on his new name after being converted into a Hedgehog, and the episode is abruptly interrupted by Chris Chan himself, who provides a shitty exposition to our setting of Kookville. I know it's pronounced Quickville, but Chris clearly doesn't know how phonics works. We also spend some time on the characters, half of whom don't appear in this issue, and some only appear once and never again. And we gotta dedicate almost an entire whole page to Chris himself, because he's just that much of a narcissist. That ain't just me being an asshole, that's just how the comic is, and could likely be foreshadowing. Episode 2, Genesis of the Love Hogs. About a week has passed since the death of Station Square, and Sonichu leaves to become a hobo. He then realizes he cannot sustain the diet of a Pikachu and goes from town to town, likely eating garbage and insects, until he adds stalking women to his repertoire. Sonichu follows Rosechu to her house while hiding in the bushes, and it's just as creepy as you'd imagine. Rosechu's having boy trouble trying to find a partner, or as she puts it, a girlfriend-free boy. Her trainer, Cal, suggests dating a Dragonite named David, but Rosechu objects on account of him being too big for her. Make of that what you will. And suggests Cal take him. Again, make of that what you will, apparently not understanding what bestiality or zoophilia is. Or maybe she does and is into that, despite that it is in fact a felony. And yes, I will kink shame. Another strange kink of Rosechu is homeless men, because upon Sonichu knocking at the door, she immediately accepts him in, and it's love at first sight, apparently. Any input, Garnet?
Love at first sight doesn't exist. Love takes time, and love takes work. At the very least, you have to know the other person, and you literally have no idea who or what I am.
Yeah, what she said. Anyway, despite that, they bond over stupid shit like Sonichu's lack of favorite color. The two fall in love insanely quickly, making it to first base within a matter of days as they watch fireworks, presumably because it's a holiday, be it Independence Day or Christian Love Day. We then end the episode with an ad for Sonichu Advance and Pokemon Sonichu Edition, which I am glad do not exist because, as we all know, those games would be complete trash. Episode 3, Sonichu vs. Christian spelled backwards. Alright, they're at the mall now. Chris shows just how progressive he is by writing Rosechu into falling into nearly every negative stereotype about women. From having a spending problem, spending someone else's money, and who could forget the damsel in distress trope. Sonichu complains about there being pickles in his burger despite not asking for no pickles. Side tangent, but what kind of pervert eats a burger without pickles? Sonichu's a wimp. Also, gotta love the subtle Aqua Teen Hunger Force reference. Then a Zapdos being rowed by Nate Cirque bursts through the window and snatches Rosechu. Sonichu uses a bunch of Pokemon moves like Double Team to confuse Zapdos and snatch Rosechu back, as Chris ignores the fact Sonichu would get completely mollywopped due to the fact it's a fucking Zapdos. Nate Cirque vows revenge and fucks off on a Raikou before the jerk-ops can be called for the various crimes committed at the establishment. Okay, why does Nate Cirque even want this stupid thing? He's got not one but 2 legendaries already. Rosechu is mid at best. Also, why are they all electric types? You gotta diversify your Pokemon portfolio. The episode ends with Sonichu getting congratulated by none other than Chris Chan himself being the mayor of Kookville. They then talk about the comic. Within the comic, as Comic Chris praises his own work despite it looking like it was drawn by an 8-year-old left-handed. Chris then whines like an incel about not being able to find a girlfriend, and Sonichu starts calling Chris his father despite them never meeting before. Classic Sonichu strips. There isn't much to say about these, mostly proof of concepts Chris drew. In the first one, Sonichu in Knight's armor recycles a joke from XL Saga while cutting logs to Rosechu, who's a vampire for no reason. I know these are supposed to be their evolutions, but they literally never appear after this, so who really gives a shit? In the second, Black Sonichu is stalking Sonichu and Rosechu scolds him before he can show her his mixtape that's just Christian and the Hedgehog Boys being recorded on a Call of Duty mic. The third one sees Chris and Sonichu killing Mary Lee Walsh for the crime of standing there. In the fourth, Christian and Sonichu and regular Sonichu save Barb from Nate Cirque. That's it. And in the last one, Sarah Hammer saves Chris's ass from the jerk-ops. We conclude with an ad for Sonichu Adventure, which never released, and thank God it didn't. It looks worse than Bubsy 3D. Now, I know y'all want me to talk about the sub-episode, Chris Chan and the Jerk-Op Tastropi, but I'm going to save that till issue 4, because all the sub-episodes are reprinted there, and it would just make more sense to do all the sub-episodes in one fell swoop. So, if you want to see that, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you don't know what to comment, Cursier-ha-me-ha if you made it to the end, and I'll see y'all later. God bless, Godspeed, and stay frosty.
Reaching.